Hello and welcome. I'm Ian Unger,
And I'm Logan Flaming.
and together we host the Ultimate Fan Podcast, a show where the greatest fans discuss the greatest in entertainment across the universe. This episode, we're moving ahead to our comprehensive review of the...
Actually, we're moving backwards.
Oh, that's true.
It's all about perspective.
Last episode was Black Panther, but just because...
Which you should go back and check out if you haven't listened to that episode.
Yes, please do.
We had a grand old time.
We had a gay old time in the 1900 sense.
Mm-hmm.
But we are moving ahead / backwards to we're starting at the beginning with the very first film released in canon, Iron Man from 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So today we'll be discussing that with our good friends who just watched the movie with us.
I thought you were going to say, just walked in.
They just hi, guys.
Yeah, they walked in off the street and were like, hey, you want to talk about Iron Man?
So go ahead and introduce yourselves, fellas.
Hey, what's up? I'm Aaron Reeves.
My name's Caleb.
Yeah, and we've excited to get going and talking about this film with these guys. It was hard to keep back all of our comments while we were watching.
Mm-hmm.
So
we all watched it together and we had an awesome time.
yeah, so because we've all
took
seen this
copious
movie
notes.
multiple times, we're not going to talk about like our expectations going in because unless you can remember that. But kind of similarly, we're just going to talk about our first experience with the film.
Yeah, the first time you watched it, what kind of impact it had on you, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. 2008, I was like 14. I was
Man,
in
I
middle
don't even
school. I was a
remember.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2008. That would have put me at.
I was 12.
I was like 10. So
Dang.
you were 12. Oh, then I was 12. We're the
Like
same
12.
age. So
Oh.
Man, I can't imagine
There we
being
go.
10 and Iron Man coming. Sorry, I'm not that much older than you, but like,
there's a difference there between
boom.
like 10 and 14.
Yeah.
There's definitely a difference.
I was reading, like, the first Iron Man comic I really got into was the Extremis run, which was released.
The Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was released in 2006. But I was reading it at the time this came out, so I had
Wow.
like that. Actually, I don't think I read it until I went and saw the movie, and then a couple months I'd kind of stayed away from Iron Man, and then a couple months later I was in the library just picking up comics, and I saw Iron Man. I was like, well, I saw the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and
Might
now
as
I'm
well.
interested. And Extremis it's an incredible run. It's very well written.
Extremely influential. It's been
Yeah.
visited a bunch of times in comics since then, and a big portion of it is used in Iron Man 3.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. The story arc
Yeah.
is kind of a bit muddled in our opinion
Yeah, muddled. That's a good
compared
word.
to the original source material.
What
which
about
is
you
quite
guys?
fantastic.
Where were you at, Caleb, or do you remember your
I was
first
in
viewing?
No, I was actually in Portland at the time. Yeah. It was fun. It was good. It was good. It was
Did you
nice.
see it in the theater? Or?
Yeah, I was in the theater. I don't remember. I think it was probably one of my first superhero movies. Like, well, obviously it was the first
Yeah,
MCU movie, but
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a like a superhero movie in theaters before Iron.
This was your first?
Because like what would have come out before that? Like Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 3
Okay,
was the year
I
before.
think I saw Spider-Man 3 in
Okay.
theaters.
I saw parts of that. I never saw the whole thing. I heard it was like a musical though. I don't know.
What, you've never seen Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3?
No.
Really?
Wait,
Really?
have you seen
There
Sam
is-
Raimi's
there is,
like
Spider-Man
one
trilogy?
music scene.
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
You've seen
Yeah.
1 and 2, but
Like
you haven't
you've
seen
Yes,
3?
I haven't seen the third one.
Because of like the bad word of mouth about it?
It's all right, you know. I just like Tobey Maguire though.
You need to at least finish out the trilogy. I mean, Spider-Man 3 is a mixed bag.
Let's do
I
that.
don't hate it as much as a lot of people do.
It has some incredible moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, looking at Venom back then, and then looking at like the teaser trailer now that just dropped with Tom Hardy,
Yeah.
I'm super pumped though.
Yeah, it looks exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, this is what I'll say. I'm excited for
let's
a
not
Venom
get excited.
movie.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer does
It
not
obviously
excite
doesn't
me.
have any of its special effects done, and it's just trying
Or-
to hype you on a movie.
There's nothing to show right now in the.
Yeah.
But I have
I would
seen-
rather that Sony just kept it to themselves, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen a trailer breakdown. Credit to Mr. Sunday Movies, where they thought like it could be possible because we've seen this happen in trailers before, where special effects are done, but they're editing them out because they don't want to build tension.
and
or
that's
like,
that's a problem nowadays because like so many stuff is like shown in the trailers, and then you go into the movie and it's like, oh, I remember that in the trailer.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it kind of ruins it for a lot of like. I remember Jumanji. There's like a 3-minute trailer, and then
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but Erica saw it, and she's like, "Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that was it's already there."
Yeah.
There
All
was
right,
no
getting back to
surprising.
Iron Man.
You're so right. This is an
Getting
Iron Man
back to Iron Man.
podcast.
Yeah. Where were you at, Aaron? Do you remember? You said 10, but
Did you see it in theaters?
I did not see Iron Man in theaters. No. At that time, I was really into the Spider-Man movies, and Spider-Man 3 had just come out. So I was big into superhero movies. Yeah, this one was quite the experience for me. I remember it really stands out because I didn't know much about Iron Man before that. I wasn't really into comics as a kid, but this was like a new superhero that I didn't know anything about. So for me, it was really like a new experience. Like, okay, this is this superhero that I don't know anything about, but this is an incredible movie. Like, I loved it. It was super like memorable for me in that way,
Yeah.
as being a new fan who didn't know anything about him previously.
yeah.
Mhm.
Did you
So-
go? Did you go see it in theaters?
I didn't see it in theaters.
Yeah.
No.
When did what age?
Why?
What was the circumstances around you seeing it for the first time?
Honestly, it probably was just like my parents rented it at Redbox or something.
Yeah, okay.
So like Redbox had just kind of become big at that time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think I just saw it in Redbox. We rented it one night.
Back to the old Hollywood video store, or
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Don't ever let
Oh.
Blockbuster die.
No.
Blockbuster has
there's a Blockbuster like
in Bend.
in
You can talk about the
Bend,
one
yeah.
in Bend. Yeah,
Like
it's like
today?
you can get Blu-rays for like $1.
At
what
In
a
Bend.
buck?
Yeah.
What? Let's make a trip.
Forget Redbox.
Let's go
Yeah.
there right
Yeah,
after.
I'll
seriously.
just drive. I'll
I'm
spend
just
gas
Bend.
money to go to
Okay.
Bend.
Yeah.
I'll go right now.
Yeah.
There's a couple Blockbusters still like privately owned around like Oregon, around
Mhm.
the country. You know, it's super cool. I think that
Yeah.
some
Whenever
people
I
kept
see
that
it, I
open.
get super nostalgic.
Yeah, totally.
What was your experience?
So I
Logan?
actually didn't see this till 2010, 2011. So I was pretty young when Iron Man came out, and then when I finally got around to seeing it, I actually borrowed it from my friend Gordon because I was like, I really like superheroes. We just watched the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy for the
Yeah.
first time, and I was super stoked on superheroes. This is the first time I was really getting into it. So I borrowed the movie, watched it, was completely blown away, loved it, thought it was a great like grounded take on a new character, and it kind of started me on the road to reading comics. Like shortly afterwards, I read Civil War, and I read like that Tony Stark in Civil War, and I was like, whoa,
Oh yeah.
this is
yeah.
this character's in a completely different place than
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw in this movie. But it really like started to get me on like the Marvel Cinematic Universe train. Like Thor came out on like DVD around that time. I watched Incredible Hulk. I watched Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Got all hyped up, and like the first Marvel like movie that I saw in theater, Marvel Cinematic MCU movie that I saw in theaters was Captain America: First Avenger.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So
you
I
didn't even
jumped on
see
the
Hulk.
train. Yeah, no, I jumped on the train like super late. Like fell in love with it. Went back and watched like the original X-Men trilogy.
Because how old were you when Iron Man came out?
I'm born in '96, so I was 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you hadn't even started reading comics yet.
No, I had a pop culture awareness of Iron Man because of that movie coming out,
Yeah.
but I hadn't actually like dove into the comics or superheroes at that point. But this, when I borrowed like the DVD, like that's when I really started
Yeah.
falling head over heels for comics and the Marvel Universe. And Captain America: First Avenger is actually what like really that and X-Men 2 and Spider-Man 2 all kind of sealed the deal for me. And those are all the movies that kind of made me. Oh, and Dark Knight 2
Oh,
made me
Dark
kind
Knight
of
for sure, yeah.
lifelong fan of
Yeah.
comics and really got me excited on the road to Avengers.
Yeah.
X-Men. Brian Singer's X-Men was my first like ever
Yeah, same
experience watching a superhero film,
Yeah, dude.
and I'm pretty sure I did it without my parents knowing. I think they weren't.
Were you not
happy.
allowed to? or
You-
something?
That was a
I
big
was
part
at
of
somebody
me.
else's house, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I
Awesome.
like they were like babysitting me, and they were watching
Yeah.
it. And then I went home and I was like, I saw this movie, and they were like, not happy.
Yeah,
Dude, that's crazy.
that's like a big reason why like I didn't see Iron Man when it first came out too, is because it was
It's because of that brazen sex scene.
that
that
you would
Oh,
not
that's
see
too
in,
much.
like,
Yeah.
that you would see in a Marvel movie nowadays.
Yeah, seriously.
we thought that the little like playful bed scene we thought was really funny because it's so tame compared to a lot of what's in movies
dude.
now, but also
50
compared to
Shades. Go back.
yeah.
I see all these little kids with like Iron Man backpacks like around that time and like all like, super
Yeah.
excited about Iron Man, and then you watch this movie and you're like, oh wait, this isn't exactly something I would take my kid to.
Yeah,
That's
but
pretty
if you
realistic.
think about the movies that like the other superhero movies coming before it, and so this is kind of moving into the
Yeah.
conversation just about like the era and everything, like as we're talking about this whole film, it didn't have the precedent of all the other Marvel movies.
movies,
Like every Marvel movie we're watching now has this huge, just like pyramid, that it's built
this
on. They're just
backstory.
adding building
Yeah.
blocks like onto all this.
Yeah.
Civil War, you can't start with a film like that, But Iron Man, they were just like, we can just make a movie.
Yeah, and
Like-
the intro of this movie was really eye-opening when I saw it. I thought it was gonna be like a fun superhero movie, family
Yeah,
thing.
same.
But
Yeah.
it started out in like Afghanistan. Iraq,
Yeah,
wherever
That
it was.
first time you watch that intro and like how fast everything
Yeah.
that goes to crap, it really sucks you in and draws you in and sets the
Yeah.
tone for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Oh,
builds
yeah.
character for Tony
Yeah.
because he's like this. He doesn't really care. He's in a war zone, right? He's in
Yeah.
a Humvee,
And he's
He
just
doesn't
like,
even
ha,
care.
ha, ha.
He's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sets
like
the tone
sipping
for
scotch.
it sets the tone for his character, for Tony Stark's character, and everything that's going to come after. I think totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things I think the film does best is in that first 20 minutes, like all the stuff like after the first initial attack to where you see him in Afghanistan again, you totally get a sense of what kind of a character Tony Stark is.
Oh, definitely.
And
Yeah.
it's incredibly like efficient and entertaining how it does it.
Yeah, even like the time skip, 72 or 36 hours before, where they show
Yeah.
his character before that, and
Yeah.
then like the
Yeah.
shell-shocked PTSD him afterwards was like a
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
It was really good to see like him in the moment and then before and after.
Yeah.
It was kind of a cool like time skip they did.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times like skipping around time wise like that can get kind of gimmicky. But
yeah.
this movie like does it incredibly
Does it very well.
purposefully
It's well
and efficiently.
paced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell like if we consider his time in Afghanistan, like what would you call it? It's like first act because that's not even like the intro to the movie per se, but like
Yeah, I would consider everything like to the initial attack to him like arriving back into the U.S. after getting rescued. Like I would consider that all like the first act.
yeah. But it's so interesting. I love like what you were saying, Caleb. Like watching just in that 72 hours or however long it is, how we see like the comparison and the contrast, and as opposed to like this shell shocked like.
Oh yeah.
Like I was just in a war zone and everybody around me was like gunned down, and like I love the juxtaposition that we get between like we get to see him in his garage tinkering with stuff and just like this is just my life, like I'm just building stuff. Hey, that bimbo upstairs that I just had sex with,
Yeah.
like
That he
she
doesn't
did-
remember her name.
yeah, doesn't
later
remember
in
her
the
name.
movie.
And she's
later on
like,
in the movie,
did she
yeah.
take it well? Like as you kicked her out, but then like later we see him in his same garage. We get all these other scenes with him in the garage and how like different he is after like
Yeah.
Totally. That's a really good observation. It's cool to see him in like the environment in his like garage before
that's like his
before
sanctuary.
Afghanistan and then after Afghanistan. You really because you see him operating in both like the same spot before and after the accident. It really gives you a good like bar to measure how far this character has come just in the time of this movie and how much the experience in Afghanistan really affected it.
Yeah.
So I've got one more question before we kind of get into like our favorite things about the film. Did any of you guys, because we're kind of ranking this in the MCU, did any of you have any concept or like foreknowledge that like this was going to be building in? So you said your first theater experience was with Captain America, Logan.
Yeah,
But like
I saw like Iron Man like the year and a half beforehand. So the Marvel Universe was well underway, and we were building toward Avengers by the time I got on board.
So you already knew that there was kind of like this interconnectedness with the movies
Yeah.
and everything before you like watched Iron Man.
I was all on board.
Anybody
I had
else?
no idea because like I didn't even stay till the end credits. I had no idea end
Yeah.
credits was even a thing until tonight. It was the first time
Yeah.
I saw the end credit scene with Samuel and everything like that.
I think
First
that wasn't
egg-
even a thing with movies.
No.
The first
Well,
end credit scene that I
sometimes.
could think of is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Which one?
The first one,
Because I haven't seen all of them.
Curse of the Black Pearl. Like the monkey steals the
There's
like
an
the
end
piece of
credit
gold,
scene?
and it
There's
turns
a-
him into.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the monkey steals the piece of gold.
Wow.
at
I've
the end,
never stayed
never-
for that.
and it turns him
Yeah.
into
I
a
grew up
zombie.
with that movie, and I never knew
I
that.
think Marvel like kind of led the way for that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now everyone yells at
Pirates is
people
like
for
just the
getting
first
up.
one. Like, well, no.
Yeah.
If we're looking back, like in the past, whatchamacallit? What's the?
I think there's kind of like I think a lot of comedies would do it sometimes, like older '80s.
Like The
yeah,
Hangover.
like-
what's
Yeah.
The
there's
Hangover
the
did
'80s
that.
comedy
Yeah.
that I think of that we all love.
Which-
Ferris Bueller's Day
Like
Off.
callbacks.
yes,
Yeah.
Bueller's Day
yeah.
Off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Think of
the-
Deadpool.
oh
because
yeah. What do you
it
still here
references
for? you know?
that.
Yeah.
But there's all kind. I think there's lots of films they did. Yeah, little funny, campy stuff because it was
Yeah.
always like a joke.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like it's what Ferris Bueller says. Is he's like, "What? You're still in the theater?" So I
Yeah.
think it was
Go
mostly
home.
comedies. Like,
yeah.
But these are the
like-
first movies where it's not
yeah.
a joke anymore, where it's really building towards something.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it
beyond-
almost
yeah.
kind of ties in with like the old like blooper reel thing showing during the credits. You know.
Yeah,
some
like the
movies do
comedies
that.
would show
I
like
think the
the
first
blooper
Guardians of the Galaxy. when the
Pixar does
credit
it a
rolls-
lot.
Pixar does that too when the
Mhm.
credits are rolling.
Which
up.
is
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is always
totally,
ironic because
Yeah.
they had to animate that.
Yeah, they
before.
do.
There's a lot of work and actual thought
Yeah.
that went into those bloopers.
like at Toy Story 2 when they were all in like the office building upstairs and all like the prospector toys, Jesse. They're
Yeah.
all going through like the cool reels and they're all messing up and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Bugs
you
Life is
imagine,
another one
like-
that comes to
Can
mind.
you imagine
Yeah.
that creative meeting where somebody's like, "So you guys, we're gonna animate a blooper, reel,"
blooper
and the
reel?
animators are like, "Okay."
You just made a full feature length movie. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Let me see my wife and kids, please.
Take me home.
Aaron, did you know that it was gonna be like? Did you have any concept of the MCU before like you saw Iron Man or?
I did not. No, I saw it close to when it came out. So yeah, for me, no, I didn't have any concept of that beforehand. So
Yeah.
it was a surprise for me. And I never saw, same as Caleb, I never saw that end credit scene until tonight. Like, because at
Really?
the time,
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
crazy.
know that there was end credit scenes in Marvel movies, and it's been so long since I've seen it now that now I know, and we just watched it for the first time. So for me, that was I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I never knew that Samuel L. Jackson scene.
Yeah, I thought he came in like not Civil War. I mean, obviously earlier.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like the first Iron Man, I had no idea he was
Yeah.
even in
Yeah.
the theater.
There
I
was-
thought it was
yeah.
like the Shield guy. You know, whatever his name. What's his name?
Agent Coulson.
Coulson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember watching it and me just getting into comics. I'd only been into comics for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I see it and I'm like, just Coulson, yeah, just
Yeah.
like Shield. And when they finally met, I'm not paying attention. He's like, we're the Department of Strategic Homeland, and he's like this
You
whole
need a new
mouthful.
name for that.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when
Yeah.
he finally says Shield at the end, I remember in the theater being like,
What?
oh, it's Shield.
Oh, it's-
like
yeah.
that's so cool.
This is important.
But I didn't stay for the end credits scene because
No
that
one
wasn't
knew.
like a thing that we did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I got the DVD after that. I do remember seeing that
Mm.
scene like short. I got that movie for Christmas that year,
Nice.
and
the
like
best.
that end credit scene, like it, because I had no idea like that there was this plan to
Yeah.
link a series of
whole
movies, of all,
universe.
like
Yeah.
and that we'd be building up to some.
And then
That,
in
it's
10
never
years,
been done
yeah,
before, right?
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that, like, in 2008, we'd be where we are now?
10
like-
years later, it's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, Kevin Feige. He was
And that's
like,
one of my favorite things about the Marvel Universe is I've gotten to grow up alongside this
yeah,
universe.
so
Mm,
cool.
totally.
And
yeah.
like different films and like different periods of the Marvel Universe have really like been like characteristic of my life and like helps me it defines different like parts of my life, and I have fond memories that I can look back on and like this is the film I saw sophomore year of college in May after graduation.
Yeah.
Stuff
Yeah.
like that.
That's exactly how I feel. Like my first Marvel theater experience was the first Avengers movie, and I remember.
really?
I have the that's the
That's
first time I
awesome.
saw a
That
Marvel
was
movie
one
in
of the
theaters,
first
That's
and that's
still-
one of the greatest theater experiences I
midnight
ever
show.
have.
That was-
Everyone was
yeah,
laughing. They
that
were
was
crazy.
insane.
They were going crazy during that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was my freshman year in high school.
That's
I
so
believe. So
cool.
yeah, like I totally can remember everything.
I think
yeah,
it's so
about
cool that Marvel's kind of introduced to pop culture, like the whole end credit scene. Like that kind of blows my mind because after every single movie, even like Ex Machina, I saw in theaters. People are kind of waiting till the end to see if there's anything.
And that's
new.
not
Yeah,
a movie
like-
you'd expect.
No,
to
Every movie you're
absolutely
waiting
not.
now,
And that's
yeah.
kind of a new thing. And I remember after Iron Man, and I realized it was gonna be like the Avengers is gonna be a thing. After every single Marvel movie, people started to stay. Right? We just saw Black Panther like last Friday or something like that, and then you see everyone's trying to get up. Half the theater knows, half the theater doesn't. Half the theater gets up,
Yeah.
and I hear this one guy go, "Shut up!" Like in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
Everyone's trying to
some
get up.
guy
and
yelled,
it's
"Shut
so
up."
funny. And then there's like there could be like 3 end credit scenes, and they're all like, some of them are like funny, but some of them kind of like go to the story and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
What
crazy.
blows my mind is there's still people that leave. Like by now you should know there's going to be an end credit scene.
Right.
You know,
But
Yeah.
some people
But
just
I-
don't
I-
care.
I
And
guess
also,
some people
I
don't
think-
forget
them.
I think you're still getting in a lot of Marvel showings. You're still getting your grandma, your grandpa,
the
That's
your mom,
casual.
your
They
dad,
could care
who
less.
like
Yeah.
yeah, like their
Yeah.
kid is interested, and they're just like, oh,
I'm
for
ready to
sure,
go.
I'll
Buy
go to
tickets.
this.
My-
What is this?
yeah.
Yellow Panther. All right, like
my dad like knows Marvel movies. Like he knows there's an end credit scene, but he just wants to go home at the end.
Yeah.
He just wants to go to sleep.
At that point, you've been sitting there 2 hours. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's just
I
my
get
dad.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
So-
let's get into the movie.
yeah. Let's talk about favorite moments.
the
Anybody
intro.
got a list?
The intro, man. The intro, and then when he was first building the suit inside of the cave
Oh yeah.
was really iconic for me.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see. And I also played the game from Blockbuster. I think we talked about this a little
Yeah,
bit when we
yeah.
were seeing it. But it was
The
on the
Wii
Wii
game.
And you could like fly around and stuff, but it was like story driven. So you were in the cave like building that suit. So after
What?
watching the movie,
Where was I? Why
Dude.
was I not playing this game?
not obviously in Blockbuster, but like, you go like in the game you get to build the suit and then fly around with it and like escape, and it actually like goes to the Mach 2 suit, which is all the silver one, right?
Yeah.
And he builds that, and also that's really cool and stuff. But like the game, like back then, what year did this movie come out?
2008.
2008.
Yeah.
Yo, games back then were killing it on the Wii. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh
That
yeah,
was,
Wii was
I think-
tight then.
I think I was kind of like, I remember being worried about like games being based off of movies, where it was like the movie game, like
Because it used to be something you just rushed out. And
yeah,
sent.
Yeah.
and
And
they
a
were
lot of
usually
times it
crap.
was.
and
Like
Yeah.
they
they were
still
usually
can
not
be.
good.
They
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
can be.
But
But yeah.
every now and then you get like the Spider-Man 2 video game on the PlayStation 2.
Yo, but the Spider-Man 1 game though on GameCube
Okay,
and
both of
PS2, let
them.
me tell you,
Both
that game
of them.
was
Yeah, those were solid
Yeah.
entries.
Yeah, totally.
But also,
Yeah.
I might get thrown some shade at this online,
Oh, yeah.
but I like the Batman Begins movie game.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a game I never hear anything
I-
about.
That's before
wow,
Arkham, right?
yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's a different style of
I don't think
gameplay.
I ever played that.
Anybody ever play that?
I actually
No,
didn't either.
Batman.
No,
I
It's
didn't even know
not-
that was-
no.
Okay, it's not super. It's level based, but
yeah, it's not the Telltale series. One.
yeah, it's kind of in line with that first Spider-Man game.
Mm.
I really enjoyed
Mhm.
it.
Never
Never
Anyways,
played it.
Iron Man.
My favorite like movie like tie-in game was Revenge of the Sith.
Yo,
I
first
that
for the
game-
Game Boy Color,
Oh.
that was
I
Because you
love
could
that.
play you could play against each other. Was
Yeah.
there a story mode on that?
Yeah, there was a story
Oh,
mode.
the story
Yeah.
mode was the best.
You could
yeah.
do like a
That game
story
was
mode where
awesome.
like Anakin like won the duel in Mustafar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he gives
And
the
he
red
kills-
lightsaber
and
from
he- and he-
Sidious,
yeah,
and then
I
he
remember.
cuts him down. And
Yeah, and he kills
my
Obi-Wan.
Empire, and all the clones kneel
It's
down.
crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
yes,
good.
that was great. That was
Like,
my
that
favorite
it's
game.
over.
That was my favorite game. Yeah,
It's so good.
yeah,
Anyway.
that was insane.
All right, so yeah, I think we all were talking, and when we were watching it, like that first part, it's kind of it's just a really great character. Just like the like the pacing is incredible. The development of Tony Stark's character. We were talking about like the exposition, like because at the time,
That exposition like newsreel.
yeah,
like,
where
thing.
he's like getting his little award ceremony, and they're just like,
It's a
That's
clever
great.
way
I
to
love
do it.
that.
This
It's
is
a
Tony
very clever
Stark.
way to do
And
it.
it's-
yeah.
because
yeah.
at the time nobody knew he wasn't
Tony
a
Stark.
popular
Paging
character.
Tony Stank.
Like,
Paging
you
Tony
know?
Stank.
And they introduced him very well in a way that wasn't like, all right, this is exposition. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Also, first Stan Lee cameo. I'm pretty sure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, this
No,
is the
no.
first film in the Marvel Cinematic.
Yeah.
Universe.
Well, in the
So-
MCU, yeah,
Yeah.
because he
MCU.
had
He
like
was in
stuff
the Spider-Man
X-Men,
He was
movies,
in
and he
Spider-Man
was in-
movies. He was in
okay.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four
He's in
movies, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't
X-Men.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he in X-Men?
Yeah.
was in X-Men?
When Senator Kelly's walking on the beach after
That's
being
right,
experienced,
that's
he's like
right.
one of the people
So this,
in the background
this
on the
wasn't
beach.
his first feature like
No,
cameo.
no,
then.
Oh
No,
no,
not
at
he was
all.
in
a-
He was in all.
He's
of
been
them.
in
It's
everything.
because it's
There's so many.
Marvel's always behind all of them, but
Yeah,
like,
he's done been in anything Marvel related.
Yeah.
yeah.
Kevin
God, yeah.
Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, actually was the lead producer on the X-Men 1.
I did not know that.
Yes. He was actually
Really?
the one that suggested they do bigger Wolverine hair.
Really?
Yeah.
Was
That was
X-Men
him.
Was X-Men first or
I
Spider-Man?
stayed around until like the
I think it was X-Men.
X-Men was first.
Yeah.
X-Men was first, yeah.
Spider-Man came shortly after.
Fun fact, Wolverine was supposed to cameo in Spider-Man 1, but because of scheduling
Really?
conflict, they couldn't get it done. But he was,
scheduling conflict.
all right. That would have been iconic, though.
That
Yeah.
would have been insane.
He was busy bulking up for the next one.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Um,
Les Mis.
One of my my favorite probably scene in the whole movie is the Gold Gear, however you ever say it, the action scene. That action scene. in Afghanistan.
You're talking about
When he shows up with the suit.
Gold Mira, the
Gold
town.
Mirror, that's right. Gold
Yeah.
Mirror. When he shows up, that whole action scene is
Yeah.
awesome.
It
I
is.
love that.
It's
The,
iconic.
Yeah.
the tank,
Cool
the
guys
tank,
don't look at
like
explosions.
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 the
Yeah.
SNL skit. But I love that action scene. That's easily like the most entertaining part of the movie for me.
Oh, dude.
I think it was for most of us too, because that's when we were like the most hype
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
watching this movie.
And we were quiet.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were just watching it. Yeah.
Also, I think it's crazy like how many dark moments there are in this thing. Are
pretty
in like
realistic.
that action scene because there's like there's like put civilians in like a house, then they like gun down
Yeah,
all the
They
civilians
don't
off
show
camera.
anything, but you see what
They
they're
throw a
doing.
grenade
Yeah.
in
You
a
know
house where
exactly
kids
what's
are in
going
there.
on.
And
Yeah,
they
and then
blow
you have
them
the
up.
kid crying because his dad's gonna get
Yeah, and
shot
he's
and
getting
killed. Like
kicked.
that's so
Executors
emotional.
are
Yeah,
lying.
that's so
There's-
real.
I don't know if you guys saw in the background. There's like 5 other guys like lined up about to be executed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like it's really cool to see that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
I
really,
mean,
really
it's
not
that's the
cool.
cool thing.
okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not cool. Okay.
I just
I
love
mean,
seeing
yeah.
guys
I'm sorry, wow.
execute.
That's the best.
Iron Man.
Yeah. Yeah, but then Iron Man shows up. It's just such a heroic scene. Like you're just so happy
Yeah,
to see him.
it's so
like,
Yeah.
super
he is.
heroic.
Yeah.
It's
And I
Tony
love-
saving people.
Yeah,
and I
totally.
love there's no like superhero lines thrown in there. You realize he doesn't say a word during
He's a
that.
driven
He just
man
gets
on a
his
mission.
business
He's
done.
He's
mad.
pissed
Anger.
off in the gala.
Yeah.
When he sees those pictures and he realizes Obadiah like confesses to him that they're dealing underneath the table.
Yeah.
He's just angry.
Yeah. Because like he was like,
it
I
reminds
shut
me
down
of
weapons.
when in Civil War when he finds out that Bucky killed his
Yeah.
parents.
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
kind of the same sort of silent like treatment.
Like he goes quiet, and he's just
Yeah.
like,
and I
getting
love
it
that.
done.
I love that.
There's no music, even when the tank's shooting at him and he shoots a little rocket and
Yeah.
blows up. There's no
the
score.
music
It's
doesn't
just
kick
sound
in.
effects.
I think.
Not
till-
not till the end of that scene.
Not
even
until
until,
like
not
the
even
fighter
until like
pilots
the
come.
the
fighter
jets, right?
pilots.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole scene's just like experience.
We're just
this.
immersed
It's
in the
what
emotion.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just
And
no,
what's
it's just
going
sound
on.
effects, dude. And it's
Yeah.
just you're just watching a film. You forget who, like everyone around you and the stuff. I remember that one. That's what happened in the theater. Like that scene was crazy. I really had to pee during that scene.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And I really had to go, and then I watched that scene, and I forgot I had to pee for like how long was that? 7 minutes or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Couple
and then
action
right when he
sequence.
landed or something like that, I'm like, wow, that was awesome. I have to pee. It's like,
That's how you know it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta
because
pee.
I think like it's like I love that moment where he's flying away. There's still been no music. There's
Mm.
not even like a cool like bam 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 bam.
yeah, like
bam,
a
you know.
Justice
then,
League
like,
soundtrack. Kind
He gets a call from Rhodey, and then he like answers, and he's just fine. And you can just imagine how it like pulls him out of like that like that dark
yeah.
brooding. Like I just saved all these people. It's like when
Also
like
killed a lot
your
of
mom
people, too.
calls you and you're doing something. You
Exactly.
just,
That's
like-
what I thought of.
You're just like, oh, yeah, hey, what's up?
not killing people in Afghanistan. That's not what I'm doing.
I love.
And all that stuff is incredibly poignant, like still today, but even more poignant in 2008 America. 'Cause we were
Yes.
just
Oh yeah.
we were
Yeah.
involved in the
That
war
was
on
like the- yeah,
terror.
the height
and like
of
the stock
terror.
market and all that stuff.
That was all stuff that we
Uh-huh.
saw
Yeah.
like on a daily basis back then.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah, they're talking about like
incredibly
the
timely.
points that their business is making in the stock market. Like,
Yep.
oh, so
That
incredible.
was
when he
fresh
said-
out of the housing market
Yep.
crash.
They said they're shutting down weapons and all that stuff in development, and like that's the same year like the stock market went down and that
Yeah,
kind
it
of
was
stuff.
the year before,
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have a house, so I didn't really get affected by
Yeah.
that, but I could feel.
Yeah, totally. But I'd say this movie is just like one of the most relatable and realist out of all the
Yeah.
Marvel movies because there's not really a fantasy element to the war and stuff going on. It's all real life. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So totally connected with
Mhm.
people of that time.
And
the
that
Afghanistan war.
getting into my negatives a little bit, that's honestly that all that stuff is so good and so poignant.
Mm.
And when the film goes a little bit more comic booky in the last third, it doesn't feel consistent with the movie that came before it.
And I
Like
didn't
the
notice
mood,
that till you
yeah.
pointed it out this time because I haven't seen this movie in like a couple of years, something like that.
Mhm.
But with the end scene with Obadiah when he's getting into the big suit, that's fine. But like you said, like the warehouse seemed like really comic booky. There was like water on the ceiling and it
Just
looked
the
Yeah.
whole, like,
It's really dark and
ambiguous.
dreary. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of
and just
kind
the
of jumps
whole,
ahead
like, two
into
big
movie
monsters
magic.
like fighting each other.
Yeah,
It's
like where'd
just-
that
Yeah.
come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I get it. We need spectacle in it.
Yeah.
It's a superhero movie,
Yeah.
but it doesn't hit or like feel tonally quite consistent
Yeah.
with the rest of the movie that came before it.
Yeah, it felt, and then, you know, Nolan is the producer on this, and
No.
Did he
no.
produce it?
No, Nolan didn't have anything to do
Oh,
with
you know what it
Yeah.
is? It's because before we watched it, we watched the commercial for
Oh,
Man
Man
of
For,
of
for the
Steel.
Man of Steel,
Yeah.
Christopher
Logan,
Nolan.
you
Yeah.
messed us up.
But Batman was coming out around this time.
Yeah,
Batman
2008.
Begins,
The same
actually,
year, right?
Dark Knight.
Dark Knight
Dark Knight
came
same
out
year?
like a couple months before
Yeah.
Iron Man.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
so like you can
yeah.
imagine the influence of like wanting to fit kind of in this like realistic, because Nolan's take on Batman is
Batman
like
Begins.
no
It's dark, dude.
superpowers.
Oh, dude.
It's dark.
Mhm.
It's real world.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
And,
can
like-
this movie definitely exists in a post Batman Begins world.
Yes,
100%.
definitely.
This movie doesn't exist, I don't think, without Batman Begins.
But I think you're right though in that like at the end it totally takes this turn where you can tell it's almost like they had like, okay, we need to have this scene at the end where like Ironmonger goes up against Iron Man, and then how do we get there? Okay, well we'll have
Pepper
yeah, Pepper's gonna
uncover-
go into the office and get some
Yeah.
files. Obadiah's gonna see her.
That was a good scene. That was pretty
Yeah,
tense.
it's
It's
intense.
a great scene.
I'm a fan
but
of that scene.
You can just
yeah.
tell like
Yeah.
they kind of start
Realistic.
rushing stuff. The pacing like
Yeah.
gets
After
different.
that, yeah.
It just feels kind of just sloppy a bit towards the end.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of gear back a little bit more towards takeaway.
We'll
I
come
want to
back
say
to that.
something about that Golmira scene that I really, actually Logan and I were talking about this the other day. I kind of miss in current Iron Man films, like how his voice, like when he's in the suit, I I know Robert Downey Jr. is like he's kind of a spectacle, right? He's one of the top paid actors in these films.
Yeah.
He's charismatic. His characters even become a little bit more like flamboyant, a little more eccentric.
Oh, for
Like
sure, yeah.
he takes the stage, and I think a lot of people go to these films for Robert Downey
It's like
Jr.
people who go to like Johnny Depp films to see him like run around in makeup and be weird.
Yeah, but like at the same time, I love seeing him in the Iron Man suit. Like not to take away from his face time on screen, but I'm coming to watch an Iron Man film because I like Iron Man. I like Iron Man.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
I felt like I love that moment in the Golmira stuff. He's like just thrown down like the little like terrorist leader, and he said like his voice is augmented, and he's like, he's all yours, you know.
Yeah.
And, like that to me, when I'm reading like the comics and I see like Iron Man talk, he doesn't talk a lot in the comics when he's in
really
the suit.
doesn't.
But in the
Like-
movie, he does because now he has Jarvis in the suit. So he's always talking with someone, and then like with Brody in this thing,
Brody.
that kind of stuff with like Pepper and stuff in the suit.
Yeah.
I think Jarvis is a really great thing to actually have in the suit because it kind of like keeps the story going with like
Yes,
his dialogue
yeah.
because that's where he's strongest.
And-
his dialogue.
And
When-
like
yeah,
you need
I
those
totally
little
agree.
those little like in the helmet camera shots, like, and those happen in the comics too. You get a little like
Totally.
because you have to see his facial expression as he reacts to different like
Yeah.
things. You
And it
know?
sometimes brings some comic relief when he's talking to Jarvis. when
Yeah,
something
yeah,
crazy's happening.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
AKA
I just
Vision.
like I like that
Especially
idea
Avengers.
of an Iron Man who's kind of like the mask is there and he's like this mysterious figure that we're like he almost like the people and the bad guys, like the good guys and the bad guys are a little intimidated by him. And I feel like it was a bold move, but at the end of this film by him just like before we had any more films to kind of build this whole like Iron Man mystique, he's like, yeah, I am Iron Man. So from then on, everybody's like, well, it's Tony Stark in there.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you guys feel like Tony Stark's portrayal in this movie is a bit more serious? And do you feel
I think it is.
And do you feel Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is a little bit more reined in this
Compared to like say like Avengers.
Well, there was a sex scene
Ultron.
20 minutes into the movie, and
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, like showing his character development.
Yeah, showing
after,
his,
like
like-
the
Yeah.
Afghanistan
Yeah.
thing, like 72, 36 hours before, whatever that is, and it showed his playboy side and that kind of stuff. So in the first act of the movie, he definitely was his own. He was Robert Downey Jr. He was Iron Man, right? He was doing his thing. So I don't think it like took away from any of that.
No, that's not really what I'm saying. I'm asking, do you feel like the character of Tony Stark is more serious in this film? And do you feel like
Like-
Robert Downey Jr.'s
like, do you-
performance is more aimed, or do you think it's consistent with the rest of the MCU?
I think it's consistent. I don't
Okay.
think it's any different than he was in this first movie compared to like Civil War. I think he's about the same. Maybe a little more seasoned in Civil War.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't crack. He does crack a lot of jokes. Remember like the Aunt May thing?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
But
Maybe
yeah.
it's more like you see how Lucy is at the beginning before Golmira, and then in this whole movie, he's super serious. He's super toned in, just like you would right after a crisis. He's super like accountability, get the weapons, get the stuff. It's like what we see at the beginning of Civil War. Like he has that encounter with the lady, and then he's really serious in that
driven.
movie. He's
Yeah.
like very driven. He's like there's no discussion. We're signing these papers, you know. But like you see, I think in Iron Man 2, Avengers, Age of Ultron, we see he's relaxed Tony. He's chill Tony.
But he's
like,
also
Yeah.
like he's still driven by guilt.
yes, all the time.
I think it's like the PTSD thing that comes
Right.
back to him in certain moments.
Well, I think
Yeah.
his whole like character from here on is driven by the guilt of I enabled the death of so many people and I need to
Yes.
make up for it. And then in Avengers, he realizes like in a post Avengers world, he's like, there are so many things that can come from the universe to kill us all, and it's our responsibility to protect them. If I don't protect what I love, I'm going to lose everything I love. And that's what like
Yeah.
him trying to keep the Avengers and Civil War is about, and that's
Yeah.
what him creating Ultron is about. It's it's the shield around the world, like he says in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, definitely.
And even in like the latest Infinity War, like Super Bowl spot, he tells Bruce, like, this is what it's all been coming down to. So it's interesting to see his actions be motivated by guilt post this, and seeing how it's evolved in the universe since then.
Yeah.
And one of the things that was really striking to me was when Pepper quits and she's like, "You're gonna kill yourself," and Tony's like, "I'm not crazy,
Yeah.
but like there's only the mission."
Yeah.
And like that was like it really struck me. And we're still seeing the story of Tony play out across the Marvel universe, and I'm interested to see if what Pepper says is true. Is like this will kill you.
Yeah.
But he said he doesn't deny that it will kill him in that scene. But he's like, but
He says,
I
"I'm
know
not
this is what
crazy,"
this is what I have to do, and this is what I need to do.
Yeah, and all that started with the Afghanistan stuff, and I'm interested
Yeah.
to see like in the future if there's ever going to be a verbal call out or like even like a
Yeah.
one-line thing to his origins because there hasn't
Yeah.
been anything.
That's what we were
He's never
talking
made
about.
But you
mention of
still
that, yeah.
still feel it.
Yeah,
though.
everyone
You
knows
don't-
it, but it would be
well-
cool for him to like
To have some
interject,
acknowledgement of this.
acknowledgement,
Yeah.
something to like back his decision on like whatever that might be.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see something
think-
like that.
Yeah,
in
but
there.
you feel it. Like you said before, like it's felt more than seen. This movie, like
because I don't,
it's
honestly,
what
I
drives
don't
everything.
think we don't need to call it out
Yeah,
in like
show,
a
don't
big
tell.
movie like
Yeah.
Infinity War because there's
Yeah.
so much other craziness going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much already.
Yeah, it's already being it's his actions are still inferred.
As much as
by this movie.
I'd like that too, Caleb. I'd love a verbal nod to Jensen or to just to
Jensen.
like his
Which you
cave
get, which you see
experience.
Jensen in Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
at the
that's
beginning.
so. That's
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah,
gonna say. Is I
there
think
it is,
Iron
yeah.
Man 3 was maybe like from the
that
creative
was
team
it.
standpoint, like this is kind of putting like a ribbon on
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like,
Yeah.
well, in a lot of ways, he deals with like the shrapnel in his heart or
Yeah.
whatever, which
Mhm.
is a total nod back to this this injury. Well,
Yeah.
let's keep going with some favorite things. Aaron, do you got like maybe number one moment or two or three?
Well, the moment that's always stood out to me, and I know that not everyone's the biggest fan of this, but is that in that third act, the Obadiah scene where Pepper is at the computer. I just
Oh,
think that
yeah.
is such a tense scene.
I
like,
think that
when he
scene
comes
is
into the
well
room
done, yeah.
and like we can all relate because like sometimes we try to hide things from people or whatever. Someone's like right there, and I'm like
On the
my
other side of your
computer or
computer, yeah.
something, you know, like.
Man, I love Jeff Bridges. in
So,
this
but
movie, though,
anyways, in the
honestly.
movie setting, yeah, that's such a tense moment. Like, because Obadiah, I think, is just such an intimidating character in the movie. Anyway, like
He's
Yeah.
always
Overall.
has that
Let's
physical
let's
dominance.
get into a greater discussion about Obadiah.
Yo, his
Like
bald head.
how do we feel
Let me
about
tell you real
Obadiah
quick.
Stane and how do we feel about Iron Monger?
He's so intimidating. I've never seen Jeff Bridges bald, and I think that's what struck me. No, seriously, like
The bald.
like he's coming at you with like his hair is flipped. He has nothing on the top at all on the bottom, and he's coming at you like he's wanting to like strangle you.
He's
to
a
death.
big guy.
But
He's a
super
big
nicely.
guy, yeah.
He wants to be nice about it, and like
Yeah.
also intimidate you.
Yeah,
With the bottle of
it's
scotch in his
deceiving,
hand
but
all
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
There's like 3 scenes where he has a bottle, like a thing of scotch in his hand.
Shout out to Obadiah Stane's cigars.
Yeah.
His
The
scotch.
The segue.
His ties. The freaking
Yeah,
segue.
he's
segue.
Yeah,
Yo,
the
dude,
in with the
segue.
I
segue.
love
The
all
cigar, dude.
of Obadiah's accessories in this movie are gold.
I
I
just,
love it.
I just want more like a gif of that because like he gets
Yo.
off the Segway like he's a boss. He's like, "Where is he?" He, like,
Yeah,
his
totally.
Cigar in his mouth.
It's so good.
Like,
The cigar scenes are the best.
I'm gonna make a gift of
Yeah.
that, dude.
Yeah.
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Easily my favorite like moment.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that
Obadiah's
moment's always
the
stood out to me.
His
But
voice.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
I enjoyed him more than I remember.
Yeah.
But when he gets in the suit, that's where I kind of lose it a bit. Because
Yeah,
he just
well-
starts. He gives like all these like superhero video
Cliche,
gamey
yeah.
boss like one-liners,
Yeah,
and I'm just
and I
like,
think
I'm not into this.
Me and Ian were talking. I think it's like the power struck thing.
Yeah.
Which
but it
Yeah.
just feels
it's
weird
not a
compared
huge
to the rest
excuse,
of the film.
but yeah,
No.
like the third act is kind of like taken out a little bit. It kind of feels out of place, but it's still good.
Yeah. But for
yeah,
those
it's
but
not bad.
Yeah, it's
for
not
those
bad.
weird things that he said, like those cliche lines or whatever, maybe 10 years ago, I mean, this was the first Marvel movie, that wouldn't have been as cliche, you know?
Yeah.
What did he
But
say to
we had
Pepper?
seen
Now
less.
looking back, yeah.
We'd
Yeah.
seen less.
What did he
We've
say
seen
to
a lot
Pepper
less
when he
of
was
it,
about
yeah.
to kill her? He's like, now you're relieved or something.
Yeah,
like
he
that.
said he says like your services are no longer required.
Like,
yeah.
I think we all looked at each other. We're like, why? Why did he say
Yeah.
that? I don't understand.
But
that.
then he does have like not long after that, he's facing off with Iron Man now, and he picks up like this car, and he's just like, I love this
yeah,
suit.
but
And
there
you
was a
could-
family inside that
Yeah.
car. Like, he doesn't even care.
You
He's
can
just
tell
so
like
power-struck.
that
He's-
feeling
yeah.
of imagine if you got in like this suit and just like
Like
that
this
feeling
power.
Of, like, I can
Yeah, you can-
pick up a moving car now. Yeah, and he's like
He's
I just
living
see
it
his
up.
Inner villain
Yeah.
like
He's
come
living
out.
it up.
I
yeah.
don't want whatever he's smoking.
No,
Or
it's a
drinking.
I
cigar.
don't even know, dude. It's probably too. I don't know.
Yeah, he rocks a
Mix of
scarf in the
everything.
gala scene, and
That
like
was
you don't
hot,
even
let me
think
tell you.
twice about it.
Yeah,
Like not many people can pull off like a scarf
but
like
bald
he
Jeff
does.
Yeah.
Bridges can.
Yeah.
Bald Jeff
And
with
you
a
don't even
Segway
think
and a
you're
cigar.
watching.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just always feel like his character, like, he's just intimidating and big, and he's got, like, the edge on, like, Tony. Like, he knows more, and he knows what's going
Yeah.
on. He's always
Yeah.
just, Yeah, he's overshadowing.
He knows
He's
the whole
overpowering.
table.
Yeah.
On top, underneath, and both sides, while Tony just has like this
Manipulating.
certain
Yeah.
idea of
Yeah.
like how
Exactly.
almost
yeah.
like he's a naivety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to
But
the
I also
way
love
things
like
are
how
going.
buddy he is with Tony.
Oh yeah.
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 Until like he reveals himself at the gala.
That's what makes his betrayal believable, and like what makes it hurt us, and be like, wow, he really is a villain, because we see,
It's a great turn.
Yeah,
for
totally.
like 2/3 of the movie, just like you believe they're like they are family, and you believe he's like this godfather uncle type figure. And like you see it in the exposition at the beginning and all their interactions.
Yeah,
And I
he
think like
sells it.
what you're saying, like his physical presence. He does it with like every character, and he does it with Tony too. He's always doing like this arm over the shoulder thing.
Yeah,
like
totally, like
real
he-
close.
yeah.
like that big uncle you
Yeah, like
have.
he's like
Yeah.
the uncle with the
you know?
mentor. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
I won't
And-
steal your company.
Yeah. I must steal
That's
your
fine.
company. But then I love the twist though. Like that's one of my favorite scenes. Like you're saying the one with Pepper, in the office.
Yeah.
I love, even though I feel like it's a little rushed time wise. Like the scene where he betrays Tony and he takes the arc reactor out of
Yeah.
his chest, because it's he puts the arm over the shoulder. He just
Yeah.
sits
Totally,
down
yeah.
on the couch with him,
Yeah.
and he's still just talking with him. He's like
he's still
you know,
super
Tony,
close.
like
Yeah.
this is your
Yeah.
ninth symphony.
To add a cinematic thing to that, me and Logan were pointing this out, but the uneasiness of that scene with the closeness was like at a Dutch
The
angle,
camera angles.
and
yeah.
that usually portrays
There's
in
not
cinema
really a Dutch angle that I noticed.
nowhere in
most
that
of the film.
movie, and then
No.
it's at a Dutch angle, so you already know it's
Yeah.
kind of like skewed.
It gives it a
Yeah,
different
the
vibe.
camera
than the rest of
moves
the
in
And
movie.
then he like
towards him,
rips
yeah,
out his
yeah.
heart arc or whatever. Literally, basically, and then like you
The
can see
camera
when he's trying to
tilts.
like settle him back in, like you know he's gonna die. Obadiah
Yeah.
thinks he's gonna die. The camera goes back to a level playing ground,
Huh.
like all in one shot, right?
It's really
Yeah.
cool.
It's really
It's
kind of
it's a cool choice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Almost like he has this really dark moment, and then he's
Yeah.
like, everything's fine.
Yeah,
It's
it
just goes
okay.
back
Like
to
just
fine.
just accept it.
He did, no, yeah. I think my favorite turning point of his was when he actually went back to Afghanistan to the terrorist that he was
Yeah.
building the suit from.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when he went in and he kind of betrayed
kills
him,
that
and
guy?
he kills the guy. But he
He-
went outside the tent, and you can see in the background all of his men who were standing out and being held hostage by the Afghanistan people, right? And
Yeah.
then when they came out of the tent, all his men had them lined up out
Yeah.
on the
ends
execution
them all,
line,
yeah.
and he walks out of frame, and then you just see all the lights
Yep.
and the gunshots.
he
and
ends
stuff.
them all.
He's,
That's
he
how you
says
know
something
he's in
like,
charge.
Major
clean
Force
this
Awakens
mess
vibes.
up, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't
totally.
he,
Bunch
like-
of coup.
He just doesn't even
Yeah.
care, dude.
He's
Like,
in charge. He's in charge.
30 plus people
Yeah.
died, and he's like, "All right, cool. I got the suit." Like, he doesn't even
Yeah.
care,
Yeah,
dude.
he
He just
Kylo
wants Tony
Ren'd him.
dead. He
Yeah.
did.
He
Kylo
Kylo
Ren'd
Ren'd
him.
him. Yeah.
Did you guys feel, if you can remember your first viewing experience, did you feel like it was well handled, or did you feel like, so comparing it to Iron Man 3, I was chatting with Logan about this. Is it a little bit of a bait and switch with the villains? You have that like 10 Rings guy, like kind of like we see him, he's searching in the sand for the
Yeah.
Iron Man
You
suit.
think he's
He's
the
the
bad
one
guy.
torturing
Accent.
him in like when he's in the cave and stuff.
Yeah.
I think
But,
it was
like-
a good bait and switch.
He's
for
the
first-
captain of the USS
Yeah.
Kelvin.
There you go.
Crossover confirmed.
Yeah, exactly. You're,
Do you guys, in the first Star Trek film, he's the one who like Kirk's dad is
takes
taking
over
the
Captain F.
You guys know what
The
we're talking about.
yeah, like
Star Trek 2009.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that now.
He's
yeah.
he's in the prologue of that movie. and
Yeah.
he
Wow, I
dies.
forgot.
I love that
Yeah.
prologue
Isn't that
so
Chris
much.
Hemsworth is his dad or something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think-
Wow. Yeah.
I don't even know. I learned that recently.
Anybody, Logan, your favorite moments? Have you said yours?
Yeah, well, Gomir. That was.
Oh,
my
that's
big one.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Also, I love the fact that when Tony comes back to America, when he wants his American cheeseburger, he doesn't go McDonald's. He goes Burger
He goes
King.
Let me
Burger
tell you
King.
how
That's
wrong
quality.
that scene is. Go to if anything, go to Wendy's. Wendy's or McDonald's. Come on, like Burger
No,
King.
not
What did
even.
he get? A Whopper? That's aight. Like
Yeah, but you can get like burger sauce on your burger at Burger King.
you can get a
Like
Big
burger
Mac.
now.
sauce.
You can get a
What's
Big
that?
Mac.
What's a burger?
What
Well,
is
that's like the
burger?
In-N-Out, like
Ketchup?
the spread, the
Oh,
In-N-Out
okay, like
spread
the-
deal.
yeah,
You
okay.
get that at Burger King on your
Let
Whoppers.
it slide.
Yeah.
All right.
That like
Okay.
that immediately steps up any burger.
I mean, I
mean,
like that it was a burger in general. I just don't like. I don't agree that it's a big. I like a Burger King is an American like the thing. You get home from the war, I want a Burger King burger. I go to get a Baconator from Wendy's, a number 4 meal with a Coke, dude. That's it. That's all I
That's
want.
awesome.
That's great.
I love Coulson in this movie. Like from the moment
Yeah.
you see him for the first time, he is Phil Coulson.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
He starts
All the
solid.
Shield stuff is great in this movie.
Mhm.
It's a great way to start universe building.
Yeah.
It's fun fan service.
We were talking about
Coulson's
like
there from, and
um,
he is Phil Coulson from the moment you see him.
yeah, we were talking about camera angles. I think you said earlier, and just how like in that first scene where he comes up, or it's not the first scene, is it? Yes. Tony comes back from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
He's going
Mhm.
into his press
Yeah,
conference.
it's right there. Yeah.
And Phil Coulson goes up to Pepper.
Yeah,
And
shield thing.
Like the camera's close on Pepper. She's looking like, well, not like directly into it, but towards the camera.
It's like
and
over
towards
the
frame.
shoulder thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
But Coulson almost like gets no attention from
He's
the camera.
written off.
The
Yeah,
camera's
he's
at
wri-
him
he's
at a
written
90
off,
degree
yeah.
angle, and he's
Yeah.
looking over to the right, and you see like a good 90-degree angle of like the left side of his face.
Yeah.
And that's not personal at all. And
Yeah.
you see like you go back to the over shoulder thing of Pepper going
Yeah.
to someone else. But yeah, thought it was a good angle too.
Yeah, I think it's real. It's almost like he's standing like perpendicular to the camera.
I think it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
that
like
kind of
like
thing.
he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so
interesting.
cool how they just kind of like he keeps popping up in the movie and they just keep dismissing him.
Yeah.
Such a clever like play and like
Yeah.
compared to how big he becomes in Avengers.
Yeah.
I also like how it's implied that Shield is monitoring Tony Stark,
Yeah.
and they're
he's always kind of
monitoring
watching.
his
Yeah.
just his
movements.
whereabouts.
He's at
Because
that
he
party,
shows up at
too.
the gala that
Yeah.
like Tony Stark didn't even have an invitation to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like,
it is
Coulson
Tony
was there.
Stark's gala.
Yeah, but Jarvis even said there was no invitation,
Yeah.
and the newsreel said that no one was expecting him to even be there,
Mhm.
and it was just.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
implied that Shield is
So
like,
either he
wanting
was
to
just
talk
like
to
there
him
waiting
because they're aware of like there's something weird went down in Afghanistan. They're also probably aware that something's weird's going down in Malibu, and they're watching him, and that's why Phil is trying to come.
That's
and
why
hang out with him.
Samuel
That's a
L.
good
was in
observation.
his house at the very end.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
So-
that's after Shield's cleaning up the
Yeah.
Iron Man Ironmonger mess, and that's
Yeah.
also after Tony revealed himself to the world as Iron Man. So that's not really.
and at the end of that, even Coulson was like helping Pepper out get into them. Remember, like all the agents
yeah.
were like lined up.
she
they were
went and
all
told
on the
everything
phone.
to Shield.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Shield helped them take
Yeah.
care of the whole situation and wipe it up.
It's
Yeah.
really big.
Let's actually chat about that end credit scene just for a second because like so you're talking well first off at the time it was like a huge bombshell because he dropped the word Avengers and
Yeah.
everybody was like this is a real thing like
Yeah, like this can happen.
because it was different than like having an X-Men movie where like you start with the X-Men we all
Yeah.
know they're a team but like
And I knew the Justice League growing
Yeah.
up. I knew who the
Yeah.
Justice League were,
Yeah,
but I had no
watched
idea who the
animated
Avengers were.
series.
yeah.
There was no Avengers animated series growing up, but we grew
Yeah.
up watching Justice League and Justice
Yeah.
League
Yeah.
Unlimited.
It's crazy
how
to
I
think
got
there was
to
a
know
time
them.
when Avengers weren't big like they are now. You know,
Yeah.
like, no one really
Yeah.
knew about them.
Well, and also it was like that they
Black
weren't.
Panther is overshadowing Justice League at the box office.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, that should
Totally.
just tell you how much the landscape has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
It's
mean
crazy.
like, and it was such a different thing in film that they didn't just like start out with like an Avengers film like, hey guys,
Like the Avengers.
check out this group of superheroes coming
Yeah.
Yeah,
together.
and
like
that's
they
not
worked their way
personal.
up to it. Yeah,
they
Yeah.
they
Through a
like
whole
started
phase.
with single superhero films,
Yeah, they took
building
their
their way
time.
to it with these little Easter eggs and small little cameos and connections.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man's gonna pop up in Hulk next week,
Yeah.
but
Mention
like
Yeah.
Wakanda.
And there was
Yeah.
two
Vibranium.
Iron Man movies before.
And not
yeah,
only was
Avengers
that a
came out.
great fan thing, think about how much money they made from all the
Oh my gosh.
17
Yeah.
Marvel
Yeah.
movies is crazy.
Yeah, they-
But so Logan and I, we just realized like Nick Fury. So he shows like he's in his house, and I like that aspect too. Like he's Nick Fury. He's just in this man's house who probably has one of the best security systems on the planet, and he's just in there like chill.
He's chilling
And
watching the movie.
but he says you think you're the only superhero, and like so. We know from the end of Captain America that
Mhm.
probably Captain America is like they've been recently like getting him out of the ice or something like
No,
that.
no, no. Captain America getting out of the ice is supposed to be like a couple days or like a day at least before the events of Avengers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like right up next.
Okay. Well, but apart from that, it's like so we're going in now. We're getting to the point in the MCU where like like not every movie is taking place in the year it came out, right? So like Black Panther is taking place
Yeah.
right after Civil War, which came
Yeah.
out in 2016.
A
Uh-huh.
week.
Yeah.
Like so, and it's what year is it? What year is it? It's 2018 right now. So,
yeah.
but,
But
like
like Ant-Man
Yeah.
takes place in the 70s in the Marvel universe.
yeah, and we're
Mhm.
getting in. So it's good that you mentioned Ant-Man because like it references all the stuff that happens in the 70s
Yeah.
and like in the 80s,
With
and
Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne's
Yeah.
Wasp.
so we see that there have been like superheroes, and there's
Mm.
been stuff going on, and Shield's been like monitoring all this stuff, and it's gonna
Captain
give.
Marvel.
I was
yeah.
gonna say it's
I'm
gonna
so
give
excited.
huge
Oh, that's
credence
gonna be
to
great.
that movie. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna.
Especially
there's
'cause
gonna
Nick
be
Fury's in
meaning
it.
behind
Yeah.
like Nick Fury's statement at the end of the movie about this world of heroes, because like we're having a Captain Marvel movie set in the 90s that Nick Fury's in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting when, if you would have watched that movie in the theaters then and stayed until the Easter egg, to him be like, you think you're the only superhero in the world? Which also just like sets that up as like a comic book. Nick Fury's just like, yeah, it's superheroes, cool. But like that, this is supposed to be the first movie in the MCU. He's supposed to be the first hero to like start the Avengers and all this stuff. And then him being like, you're not the first hero. Like, we got a whole batting lineup of superheroes before
Yeah,
you.
as a fan, you're like, what? Like, you're just blown
Yeah.
away as a fan. Like, there's. Yeah.
I was blown away tonight.
So
that
many
was the
things are
first
gonna
time I
happen.
saw that. So
We're blown away. We already know.
yeah.
There's more than
What?
Iron
There's
Man.
more.
What?
No way.
That's so funny.
Oh my god.
I love the Star Wars reference of Jensen running down the corridor with the gun,
Oh,
shooting up
Han
in the air, and
Solo
then he
and
turns the
Stormtrooper.
corner.
Perfect
and there's all
replica.
the guys like
Yeah.
looking at him, about ready to shoot him. That was a
Yep.
great like Star Wars reference.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't get that at first.
I didn't get that till
Mm.
tonight. I'm like, oh wait,
All
or
right.
like the last time I watched it was
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, oh, that's straight Han Solo on the Death
Mm.
Star.
I think the
Super sick.
humor mixed with the levity mixed with drama and heaviness is really good in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of it is improv, a lot of like character scenes and dialogue,
Mm.
and I think that really like I've heard from behind the scenes stuff that the other actors were like, Robert Downey Jr. is like hard to keep up with because of how good he is at just being like ad lib and
Mm.
off the
Wow.
cuff.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the
I
cool
believe
things
it.
about Pepper. She doesn't even try.
Yeah,
Like she holds her
she's
own.
just being
Right.
fun. She's just being
Yeah.
like this awkward person
All
next
right.
to.
like the heart surgery operation.
I love that scene.
Yeah,
That was
that's such-
funny.
Yeah.
The you're the only person I have. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
and I love when Tony says that, and then when Pepper later on in the movie is just
Yeah,
like,
she
you know,
says it
you're the
too.
only person I have too.
Yeah.
I love that moment, and also shout out to the score. Tony and Pepper's theme is very subtle in this movie, but it adds so much dimension to their scenes,
Mm.
and it's
Chemistry
I
is
love
really
it.
good too.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
natural.
very emotional.
Yeah, Pepper and Tony are like their chemistry is on point from the first scene.
Mm-hmm.
They're great, and easily one of my favorite MCU couples.
Damn.
Yeah, I like how she's introduced as a character. Like that little, she walks.
The dry
in-
cleaning thing.
Yeah, the
With
dry
the,
cleaning.
Oh, picking up
Yeah.
after Tony's mess, that kind of
I
stuff.
love how she's gonna be Tony's love interest throughout all these movies, but she's not the person who we see Tony like
Mm.
intimately with
Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and I like how they take their time with their relationship in the
Mhm.
movies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so
Even
much
when she
time.
was gone, even when she was gone for a long time, and then came back at the end of Homecoming, like I freaked out in the theater when that happened.
Yeah,
Because it
with
was
the
so
press conference.
nostalgic. I'm like, I miss these two
Because like
together.
the end of this movie was a press conference, and then Homecoming was the same thing, but they're opposite turnouts.
Yeah.
Iron Man, he's like, I am Iron Man. At the end of this one,
He was wanting this. He was wanting the
He's
same
wanting-
moment for
yeah,
Spider-Man.
For
And
Spider-Man,
he-
yeah. And Spider-Man says no.
was that a spoiler?
Hey, we can
No.
talk about it. The movie's been out.
The movie's
for
been
years.
out for like over.
It's been
Yeah.
out for
Come on,
a
it's-
while.
You
No.
listen
Your
to an
loss.
MCU
It's not a-
podcast and like you haven't seen Homecoming.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
what are you doing?
it's not
Well,
our fault.
Yeah.
We'll just say this. We'll just say this right now for any of our listeners going ahead as we go through the rest of these reviews. If you haven't seen any of the MCU movies up to now, like Black Panther just came out, we'll try to keep it spoiler free. But go listen to our episode about that. Otherwise, we're just going to be talking about all the films, assuming
Yeah.
you guys have already seen
It's
them.
fair game.
Yeah, it's
Fair
fair game.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
wait, you want to get into some
Negatives
critiques we have?
Yeah, we've been kind of chatting about them already. The third
Yeah,
act,
we've been
but
kind of mixing
Third
it up.
act
Is there
is
anything
big.
specifically that like stuck out to you as critiques?
what do you have, Aaron?
Oof. Come back to me on that. Come
Yeah.
back to me on that. Yeah.
I thought there was some funky CGI.
In
Yeah.
some parts.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
when
yeah.
I like it's mostly consistent through it, but like the
Yeah, a lot of
Ironmonger
this movie
scene,
feels practical.
when he
Yeah.
runs all the suit stuff.
Yeah, no, like So that's what I'm
That
saying
the
though.
cave
Like
scene, you mean, right?
the cave
Yeah,
scene,
the cave
like,
scene-
but even
you
a
can't
lot
really
of the,
tell like when it goes
No.
in between CGI and practical, which I think is a testament to
I
the
think
visual
when he was
effects of
like
the movie.
bending over and that kind of stuff on the ground, shielding the bullets. I think some
Yeah.
of that might have been
Yeah.
CGI.
The
But, like,
funky, the funky CGI is mostly for me Ironmonger.
yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Iron
I
Man.
I mean,
yeah.
like the
Low
whole
lit,
the whole scene
it's
where
not
he's
really-
like, as we see him building his suit, and he's like starting with like the arms and like the leg pieces.
I love all
I'm
that
pretty
stuff.
sure that's a practical like rigging effect.
Yeah,
where he's
that's
flying
like
around his
or it's like
garage,
been
like-
augmented with CGI.
Yeah,
Use
yeah.
cables. Yeah,
Yeah, you can just
CGI
put
the
him on
stuff onto
CGI
it.
cables and
But,
and
yeah.
like have him like being
sure,
dragged
yeah.
around his garage there. But then like, okay, I know it's not a real suit, but I think that they do have practical Iron Man suits for like the standing dialogue scenes.
Yeah,
like,
for this movie, I believe they do. I think if I remember right, it's either this movie or Iron Man 2 are the last like movies where that's a thing.
really,
Yeah,
it's always CGI.
yeah. Then I
Really?
believe it goes CGI after.
So
that.
what does the non-CGI suit look like? Is it all green with
I
like
believe it's
little
like
place
just like a motion
markers?
capture suit.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
You went
Yeah,
Andy
because
Serkis.
like
Really?
I always figured that for like
Or
all
there's
the
just like I've seen like pieces where there's just like a chest piece here, like on their chest.
Yeah.
Viewers can't see it, or the listeners can't see it. You are viewers. There's like just like a small chest piece, and that's it.
Interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm okay. That aside, like the parts where he's like in his garage or whatever, and he's like putting on the suit, or we get these like close up camera shots of the suit as it's like getting like it. The first time he puts on the silver one, and it's like doing. The
I love
little,
that
like,
silver suit.
It's so cool.
Yeah, before he
Love-
puts the
love
red
that
on it.
silver
Yeah.
suit.
That was the first time we see him suiting up because there was the cave
Yeah.
scene which was lit. That was like the cool like grunge suit up, and then there
Yeah.
was like the high tech suit up, and they were both really heavily CGI'd. I think they were both CGI'd.
Yeah.
I know the
The
second
silver
one
suit
was.
definitely is.
Oh,
Silver
yeah,
suit
for
was.
sure.
I don't know
Yeah,
about the first
but I
one.
think it looks good. I think that's
yeah,
CGI. It's
I
like you can
love
tell
that
the
silver
detail.
suit.
that's
It's
scene.
sleek.
Love it.
Mhm.
But you're right. We see him suit up like Batman
For the first
style
time
three
twice.
times.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
because he puts on the red and gold.
There's so
suit.
much
Yeah.
suiting up
Like-
in this movie.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was great. It was kind of like eye candy because it was Iron
Oh
Man
yeah.
film.
It's
Mhm.
just like we're gonna show
Yeah.
off the suit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sick. One thing that I thought was a little funky. Why is the same army control room like monitoring Malibu
yeah.
and also monitoring Afghanistan?
Yeah.
That was
Oh,
like
that's true.
And also,
Yeah.
what?
how
That
how do
doesn't-
these people get to places? So we talked.
How did
like,
Rhodey get from Malibu all the way to this like army like on base to this
wherever
army
this
monitoring
command
station?
center is?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
he did that in, like an hour.
It's
Like,
just a training exercise, guys. Like,
wait, that's one of my favorite like
It's
running gags.
okay.
Probably used the
Yeah.
suit or something.
I'm
I don't
here
know.
on the
Just
weekend.
flew over.
No, it's
Out
his
of office
beautiful
hours.
Dodge Ram, the
Oh,
black.
yeah,
That's,
that's-
Oh, that's
in
exactly
War
what you
Machine
said.
colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Another
What'd you
thing, like
expect?
we chatted about this, like it's kind of funny. At the beginning, right? There's the reporter, and they're in Las Vegas, and they're having like this little flirty talk where she's trying to like press him, and then he's like, like I'm prepared to lose a few hours of sleep with you. Cut
yeah.
to them having sex in Malibu, California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like
did they
they
just
stay on
like,
the plane for a couple hours.
Let's
How
get an
long
Uber.
before
Let's
that?
get an Uber.
Flight. Yeah.
What
Uh,
did they do between those two scenes? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a little funny.
another flaw you guys are pointing out. It wasn't a flaw for me because I liked how the change was from Brody to what's his name? Sorry, Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
I like Don Cheadle in the new ones.
yeah.
Yeah, I do.
You know what?
100%.
Team
You
Terrence
guys
Howard.
have been
I'm
yeah.
Team Terrence Howard also.
I think
Terrence
I'm
Howard,
Don
yeah.
Cheadle with you.
Yeah.
Like I
I'm a
think
Don
maybe it's just
Cheadle
because
fan.
we've had more time with him, so we've gotten to see them develop a rapport.
Yeah.
I think Terrence Howard
He's
has a little
great.
bit more of that military.
In this
Military,
one.
but also I
feel-
feel like he brings an extra level of soul that I don't feel Don
I feel the
Cheadle really
soul
has.
to
Maybe
Terrence Howard, yeah.
suave.
Don Cheadle
I
is
don't know
more
about
funny
soul.
with
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. in the new
Yeah.
ones. They kind of feed off each other. This
Yeah.
one, I agree with you.
There's a little bit more comedic
There's-
energy.
Yeah.
But I enjoy like the difference between Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
a
yeah.
little bit more in this movie than
I
I,
appreciate
do
it,
like
yeah.
the comedic rapport that I feel like Don Cheadle and Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. have.
I just like Ocean's the movies, bro. I just love.
Yeah,
his
but
character.
I love Don Cheadle now too. But I don't think he's
Yes.
ever really shined as much in
yeah.
these movies as he
Yeah.
as he has like in Oceans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree.
He has a couple good scenes.
We'll
but
see as we get
His
into him. But I
accent
think there's a
I'm
few
excited
more.
to revisit him in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like that's part of War Machine's bit though is like compared to the rest of these. Like, he's not a full Avenger yet, you know, and we don't always know what we expect he's just like doing stuff with the military.
Yeah,
But you
he's
get that scene
affiliated
in
with
like the
military.
beginning of Age of Ultron where he's trying to like tell his story. And he's talking to like Thor and Iron Man. He's like, "So I dropped the tank
Yeah.
on the guy's doorstep." And I'm like,
I love that
boom,
moment.
did you lose this or something?
Yeah.
And they're just
That
like,
line kills.
yeah, and they're just like,
Every
what?
time.
Oh, were you done telling? Is that the end of the story?
Well,
You
yeah.
know, like,
Also,
Yeah,
that's one of my
seriously.
favorite Stan Lee cameos.
oh yeah,
When he's like out drinking.
he's at the
everybody
bar and he's like a World
he
War
like
II
takes
vet.
Oh,
Thor's like
yeah.
special like
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
beer. It was so good. I love that scene.
That's great.
Any other like critiques that you guys can think of? It's a
It's
great
a good
movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a
Yeah.
great movie. A lot
Is
of
it-
it makes sense. A lot of it still holds
Yeah,
up.
all my problems are with the third part, the
Yeah.
third act of the movie. So
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else really.
I think it's from the time, actually probably like that scene where Pepper because so she has that conversation with Tony. It's that really serious one that Logan likes where he's like, it's all about the mission, and I'm with that too because I think it's a great character moment for him. And then right after that, she goes to get like the files from his office because that's what he's telling her to do, and she's like, I don't know if I want to do it. And that's in that great tense moment where Obadiah comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We are totally like, he is the bad guy. She sees he's the bad. Oh, my critique. Gosh. Okay. In that
It
scene,
is.
in like the scene, she's there in the office. She's
Yeah.
stealing the files off the computer. I feel like in the third act, they were trying to get to places and they were like, we just need to make some movie magic happen to make this work. She's on the computer. We all know this trope of like all these files popping up on the screen. Hit
X-Men 2.
download. We're watching
Rogue
the
One.
download bar go.
Any
It's-
Bond film.
It's
Yeah.
going. It's not. it's
Mission
not there.
Impossible.
Oh, somebody's walking in. Quick, hurry up. Download. But then she finds this video, and it's a shot from the beginning of the film where Tony is like captured by the terrorists, and it's a ransom video, right?
Yeah.
And it's in another language or something like Arabic or something. And she types into a command bar the word translate, presses enter, and it's that
And he just starts-
actor. It's
Yeah.
the actor who's speaking in Arabic, and he just switches to speaking in
And it
English.
flows
the
so
same
funny.
actor.
It flows
Yeah.
perfectly.
I don't
yeah.
care
It's
what
the Eng-
technology you have. That is
That-
not how translation
Nope.
works.
It's the English dub
Wish.
version.
Yeah.
yeah, like he had time to just be like suddenly like, yes, and now I can speak English and I'm
Time for
speaking
my
it for you.
3:30.
Like they recorded that
Overdub
ransom video
performance.
twice. They're like, okay, and let's get it in English and okay, good. Take 3 once in Mandarin and
Tell
that
me
was
other
a
languages.
that was a
That
that was a
scene.
little nod
That
to
was good.
the Mandarin.
Sweet.
Nobody.
You-
Nobody.
I don't
Sorry,
remember
dude,
it.
you're alone.
Mandarin?
I don't know.
That was a.
Like Iron Man
It's
3?
10 rings.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
an-
yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Brain fart.
I was saying they were speaking in
We're an
Mandarin.
hour
It's a
in.
nod to Mandarin.
It's 11:55 at night.
Yeah.
Sweet. You want to get an MCU ranking?
Yeah, should we wrap this up? Let's
do it.
Okay, so Logan and I both have our own lists of
Mhm.
our rankings. And are we going to consolidate these? Are you and I going to come to some sort of democratic agreement for our ultimate fan podcast ranking?
Yeah, I think we'll get to that later on. But right now, let's just work with our individual lists.
Okay. Yeah, so and if we just let's say this is we're all our respective ages watching this movie for the first time and we don't have any other MCU films, is it great? Do you want to go see the next one or is it like, I don't want to watch it?
I think it was great. I think
Yeah.
Black Sabbath
say it's
fans
great.
liked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Black
Yeah,
Sabbath
the
fan.
music's great. Yeah, also.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack's
Yeah, shout out
is
to
awesome.
Tom
Yeah.
Morello of Rage
Tom-
Against the Machine
Yo.
fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Playing
was in that-
guitar.
he was
on
in
Yeah,
the
he has a little
score.
cameo in there
Yeah,
too.
he has a little
Yeah.
cameo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No idea.
does all the music in it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't do all the
a
music.
lot
he
of the
just,
rocking scene.
Yeah, he
parts.
just plays the
that's what I
guitar
meant.
in it.
Yeah.
I think
No.
if I think when I was a kid I watched this and I loved it and I was ready for more. I think now I watched it, I'm excited, I'm ready for more. Like if I don't have if Iron Man's the only thing on the list, it's on the list and it's number 1.
Yeah, I agree. It takes you back to a simpler
It's a
time
solid
in
movie.
Marvel
Like
movies.
even now, after Civil War's out and all the movies in between, it's still kind of.
It's a solid movie
Yeah,
still. Yeah,
which is
it holds
kinda
up.
speaks
I
for
think
itself.
think it
that's
holds up.
what- Yeah, that's what speaks
Yeah.
for a movie of its time. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
totally, it totally holds
Looking at
up.
our MCU list, I had this at number 11. So I had Winter Soldier number 1, number 2 Civil War, number 3 Avengers, number 4 Guardians of the Galaxy, number 5 Guardians of the Galaxy 2, number 6 Captain America: The First Avenger, number 7 Thor Ragnarok, number 8 Black Panther, number 9 Ant-Man, number 10 Doctor Strange, number 11 Iron Man. So I'm actually gonna bump this up to number 9.
Really?
Really?
So I'm gonna bump
Right
after
next
watching
to
this
Black
again.
Panther.
Top 10.
I'm gonna put it over Ant-Man and Doctor Strange.
Oh, dude.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, I'm
big
actually
fans of those
I'm with you
movies,
there.
so-
As I'm like rewatching, I enjoyed it as much to where I think I would put it over those movies.
I have
What
it
do you think, Ian?
just a little bit. I mean, our lists aren't exactly the same, but I have it in roughly the same spot. Mine's
Yeah.
number 8 on my list.
Okay.
So and now
So I
our
moved it
list
up
is
to
the
kinda
full
where you were.
17, including recent films like Thor: Ragnarok and Black Panther. Do you guys have any lists of your own, or at least a rough estimate? Let's say if you know your top 3 Marvel films,
I do have a
is this
list.
close?
It's
or?
better than the Hulk, the Incredible. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh
put
my
it in,
goodness.
Which I'm actually really excited to watch about.
Yeah,
watch
I'm
for
ready.
next
I'm ready
podcast.
to see it again.
Yeah,
It's been a
with
minute.
fresh eyes.
It's
been a
been a
minute.
long time, yeah. I definitely do have a list, and it falls at number 10 on my list.
Okay.
And I keep it in that. I kept it in that spot after watching it again. It hasn't moved at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, Civil War, Winter Soldier, and the Avengers is my top 3.
Those are
that,
mine
that
in the
doesn't
same
change.
order.
That doesn't
Yeah.
change at all. That hasn't changed
Yeah,
for
I
me.
think-
Actually, I was kind of on a Ragnarok high when it came out and put it at 3. Then I
Ooh,
realized,
remember that.
no, I'm gonna put it back down. So it's actually at 4 for me still. I love Ragnarok.
I do too.
It's just such a funny. It's a comedy. You know, it's a great movie.
It's hilarious.
But yeah,
Piss off, Ghost.
I love that the director. was
Korg's
like-
awesome.
my
yeah.
God.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, so Iron Man, I keep it at 10 for me. Right
Yeah,
there,
that's interesting. So we got it 10, 9, 8. Do you, Caleb? Are you into it enough to know?
Man,
or-
I have to come back with a complete list because I have
Okay.
one, I have
we'll
one
have
for
you
my-
come back on
Fair
one of our
enough.
future
Because I have
episodes
one
with
for a
another list.
DC universe one, and then I also
Well, that's
have one
really
for
short.
MCU. Come on, get out of here. It's short. They're all
It,
great,
it,
though,
it,
all
they-
right?
It is
there's-
short.
it's not a long list.
It's not a long list.
Nah.
I'm not even saying anything about quality, even though I did throw some
You did.
barbs to Suicide Squad last episode.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
it's-
Some shade. But that's,
Well, it
I'm just saying
deserves
it's a
it.
short list.
It's
a short
not.
list.
It's not like it doesn't.
I would
deserve
put
it.
Dark Knight over all of this, though.
Oh, 100%.
That would-
Yeah, I'll have to come back
doesn't
next
count.
time with
Oh,
the
Dark
finished list, but it is definitely up there. It's really good.
Up
Sweet.
there.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah,
you say
definitely.
would you say top 10?
My list is. You guys kind of have similar lists with like Civil War, everything being up there, which I totally agree.
These like
and
big
the-
big
like-
event team
Like for
movies.
you
Yeah.
you guys all like the movies, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
they're
Oh,
all
yeah.
like Star Wars. They're all great. You
There's,
just
o-
kinda,
there's
like,
only like
do that.
two films in the MCU that
They're,
I
like-
probably say like
Which
I
ones?
borderline don't like.
Like
Iron Man 3 and The
well,
Incredible Hulk.
okay, so
Okay,
those
yeah.
are given. Those
And
are those
Thor
are
the
not
Dark
as great.
World, yeah.
But
Thor:
like,
The Dark World.
like for
yeah,
me,
right down there.
all those are great. But the movies that I put up in my top for the Marvel universe is like Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, the ones that really
Oh.
stand out. because I
Really?
really like the creativeness of all that stuff. So Doctor
Uh-huh.
Strange, oh my gosh, when I saw that in the theater, me and my dad were like, "This is insane." With like the visuals, it reminded us
Visuals
of
are insane.
Inception.
Yeah.
Like
Such
it
a-
was great
yeah.
in a superhero movie.
Such a mystical cosmic
It was
movie.
absolutely
It's
insane.
great.
And then-
yeah.
Then going back to the humor part with like Paul Rudd. Oh my
Oh.
gosh, I loved Ant-Man.
Ant-Man's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Ant-Man's top 6 for
And
me.
it was-
I love Ant-Man.
I
man.
loved it.
It's
Ant-Man
so funny.
might, even though I just knocked up Iron Man over
You knocked him up?
I
That's
moved
exactly what-
Iron Man over Ant-Man. I moved Iron Man over
Alright.
Ant-Man. That might change when I finally get to Ant-Man, because Ant-Man's freaking awesome.
Ant-Man's
I love
great.
Ant-Man.
It's so good.
It's
Ant-Man,
right up
yeah.
there.
But I think Doctor Strange and Ant-Man are up there and Homecoming. Those three are probably on my top 3.
you got
Homecoming's
Homecoming and
down
top-
there for me.
Ooh.
Homecoming's at 13 for me.
Yeah, down there.
Yeah.
You mean you don't like? it
Oh
as much?
yeah. For
Really?
me.
Homecoming's at 11 for
I
me.
loved it.
Homecoming's at 12 for me, so we're all right in that range too.
Yeah.
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 Middle
Caleb's
of the
the only one
road.
with the super high.
Yeah.
Hey, I
it's-
like the perspective that you're
I
bringing.
like the
Caleb.
Yeah,
doc-
you got
I
some
like
different
the creative
ones.
ones like
Yeah.
the Doctor
So
Strange.
yeah, it sounds like you like the kind of like the
different
solo
flavors,
films,
the different
I like
flavors.
the different
The
flavors.
solo
What did you
one.
think
But
of
I
Black
liked all of them.
Panther?
Dude, I loved it. I thought the memes that they integrated in there were awesome.
What are
for,
those?
like,
What are those?
That was
Yeah.
lit.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I don't know, dude. Like the culture. My friend's from Uganda, and we've been talking about this movie for like 5+ years.
That's so cool.
So
That's
and he sent a
awesome.
Snapchat with him and his whole and like his hand, it's like silk woven like tribal shirt that is the grandma made in Uganda.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so him and his friends were all hyped and stuff to go see it.
That's so
And it's
cool.
super cool.
awesome.
People
That's so
are
cool.
doing that.
Yeah.
Like
I've been watching
It
Lupita
means so
Lu-
much to a different culture.
Yeah, totally. I
absolutely.
loved that about that movie.
I've been looking at Lupita Nyong'o's like her
Yeah.
Instagram feed, and they're like going to
Yeah.
opening nights all over to the all over Africa.
it's making bank, dude.
And-
It's up
Yeah.
there right now.
Yeah.
It's
Sixth
so good.
highest opening weekend of all time.
Wow. It just
That's
reaches.
what-
That's up there with like
yeah.
Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
it's
all
over
that
Dark
stuff.
Knight.
Oh, no,
I saw,
or Dark Knight.
I saw a trailer on
yeah.
like Facebook or like an ad where it's like #1 movie in the world, and I feel like every
movie does
blockbuster that
yeah.
comes out has an ad.
Everyone says that. You have to say that. Yeah.
#1 movie
Yeah.
in the world.
Did you guys see? Did you guys get the reference in that movie? I'm gonna insert my Black Panther thing right here. But remember when they fell down onto the
Is this a
bridge?
spoiler?
Is it?
I'm asking you.
Can we
Ooh.
cut this out?
Yeah, we should
You-
probably
you gotta
wait
be
for
careful
Black
on that.
Panther spoilers for a while.
Shoot, never
There's a
mind.
separate podcast.
Yeah,
on that.
sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I'll talk to you
Yeah.
guys after.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'll
Sweet.
say about Black Panther, I just love it reaches such a wide audience, like wider
Yeah.
than the other Marvel movies, I'd say, because just that whole racial, the whole racial aspect of it
Yeah.
and everything. It reaches, and culturally, it reaches a wider audience, I think. I love it.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Has a lot
was
to
thinking
say.
about this earlier as we were talking, like bringing it back to Iron Man. We were talking about how relevant Iron Man is, and it's interesting that we were watching it at the time when Black Panther just came out because I'm trying to think of other Marvel films that similar to Black Panther, similar to Iron Man, have that same level of like current cultural relevance and
Yeah.
like contemporary to what was going on at the time, like the war in Afghan.
Yeah.
Like Iron Man, if you guys don't know this, his comic book origin is very, very similar, but it was in Vietnam because that was
yeah.
the war that was happening
Mhm.
when Stan Lee wrote that. But
Yeah.
and then they updated it in the movies but same thing
Yeah.
to what our
Yeah.
world context
It's relevant.
I don't know if you could say that about any other Marvel movie besides those two. That
Yeah,
was so
like-
relevant.
Because even like Captain America, like the first Avenger, it's like what do you think with like Winter Soldier? Maybe like government
Well-
knowing about what's going on our phones. I don't know.
Maybe not as big as like a big of a tier as it is. From,
It's
like,
more
Iron
of
Man to
that.
now.
Winter Soldier's more about like, can we trust the superiors over us? It's more
Yeah.
about skepticism and cynicism
Yeah,
of government.
yeah. But do you think that was like relevant
No,
at the time it came
100%.
out?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe
Because-
not
yeah.
as much as Black Panther, but or Iron Man.
Black Panther kills it though with the messages.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Also about weaponry.
Yeah.
And refugees. That to me is its
Yeah.
biggest relevant topic that
Yeah.
it tackles.
Yeah.
Is the concept of if we can help,
If we have
the
power.
ability to, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Preach it, Stan.
That was good.
So here's my list. I'm right up there with you, Aaron. Civil War, Winter Soldier, Avengers, top
yeah.
3 in that order.
Perfect
And that's
order.
after
Perfect order.
like a lot of kind of thinking. I think I'm curious to see as we get there. I think sometimes people put Avengers at the top because they feel like they're supposed to.
And well, that
Yeah.
and the event was huge.
It was a
Yeah.
huge event.
It's
Yeah.
got a
That
huge
to me is
nostalgia
game
factor.
changer.
That to
Yeah.
me, like that and Force Awakens are the two biggest film events that I've witnessed in my lifetime.
Yes.
I would agree.
And they're also the two
Force
most
Awakens was
hype,
huge.
So
hype,
incredible.
like insane first
Yeah.
movie going experiences. I've ever been
Anticipated,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they delivered.
Yeah, exactly.
They
And
delivered.
they delivered.
And they
And I'm
delivered.
not going to diminish that. I
Yeah.
went and saw Avengers as many
Yeah,
times as
midnight.
I could.
Yeah.
I went,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
like one of the first.
Actually-
midnight
Incredible.
showings
I,
saw.
that was the first time I saw Avengers like on Friday night was like the greatest movie going experience I've ever had in my entire life. But I was like the hipster who was like, but man, Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark
is
Knight
gonna
Rises.
kill it."
Were you
You're on the
that
Dark
guy?
Knight
I
Rises
was
train.
totally Team Nolan,
Oh, man.
and I was like
Team
playing
Nolan.
into the DC Marvel thing, and I was wrong.
You were, yeah.
I like
that-
Dark Knight Rises,
that's
but
so
I
funny.
was
I still think
wrong.
it's a great
I was
movie,
like
but
in
yeah.
the parking
Man.
lot. I'm like, man, but just wait for Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Gonna
So
kick
after
this
the
movie,
movie
but
or
this is just
before?
stupid, dumb fun.
Yeah.
This means nothing. Wait for
This
Nolan.
is a
to show up.
critically acclaimed movie.
Yeah.
Man of Steel comes
Critically acclaimed.
Yeah, and then Dark Knight Rises. hit, I'm
Wait,
like, oh,
wait for
shit.
Michael Caine. wait for him to mop the floor.
I buried enough members of the Wayne family.
out. Dude, that was
I
actually
mean, well,
really good.
that's justifiable for that time.
I've
Good.
practiced.
That was really.
That was
good.
yeah. It's justifiable for that time to think that way because I mean that was after The Dark Knight had come out. That's one of the
Yeah.
greatest films ever. A lot
And
of people
Inception
would
was the movie that
say. And
Christopher Nolan
Inception
made,
was
like
it
right
just
afterwards.
came off after
So,
that. Yeah,
And my expectations were
Two-
sky friggin' high.
yeah. Oh yeah, those are
Yeah.
two of the best movies ever.
And
I'd
they were
say. I
shit. Yeah.
love both of those movies.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Both of those movies.
those
Dark
movies.
Knight Rises is not on that list.
Nope.
No, no,
And
no.
I like Dark Knight
Not.
Rises.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, that one's not.
No, I think, but like, so the Avengers is incredible, but lots of people throw shade at Ultron, at Age of
it's
Ultron,
disappointing.
and I throw shade at it too. I see its faults,
Yeah,
but
it's,
I don't think it's.
What's
I don't
the
think it's.
shade? I don't
Uh,
think I've heard this yet.
It's boring.
It's very middle of the road for me in
Yeah,
my list.
it's
like
just
it's
kinda
just
like
kind
a
of there.
gathering of-
It's
Even
just kinda
lower on my
there.
list. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing
it's lower on
crazy
my
about
list
it.
than Ant-Man
And Ultron kind of sucks.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Dude,
Ultron
I love
is my
James
biggest
Spader,
problem.
I love
but
James
as-
Spader,
James
too.
Spader had-
the villain didn't pay off though. At the
No.
end, you didn't really care about his death, and it was
He was
like
just
ah,
a
His voice
witty,
is cool.
evil Tony Stark.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not interested.
Well, that's what it was. Is like I
He
he
think
wasn't Ultron.
Could've been
Ultron
great.
is supposed to be this like stone-faced robotic
Unstoppable
killer.
Yeah.
You know,
robot.
like,
Well, we get introduction to Scarlet Witch in that movie,
Yeah,
which
that
is
to
great.
me-
He got
That's
some
the
good
best
payoff.
part. I
And
think.
Yeah.
also all the Bruce Natasha stuff. I know
Yeah,
that's
that's true,
controversial.
yeah.
and
Yeah.
All
I
the
know
Hawkeye home stuff.
people tell
There's
me
great
That
things
was
in
a
the movie.
great scene. I love the.
I love the
home
Hawkeye
scene.
like
There's
stuff
some-
at home.
yeah.
I love that. Was
and-
probably my favorite
And the
scene.
like the
whole
dinner
movie.
party at
Oh, yeah.
Avengers Tower 2. Those are like my 2 favorite scenes in that movie.
Yeah,
What do you
both
guys
of those scenes were
They're
so
great.
good, especially the Hawkeye one. That was my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
do you guys feel any like sadness over like Quicksilver's death? Like
No.
You know, I really like the X-Men Quicksilver, so I didn't really
Yeah.
care for this one, but I liked him. He wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, no,
but that one
I'm
slow-mo scene,
They'll never
oh,
see me coming.
I get it. Like
I hate his accent in that movie.
I feel his death in that movie.
I felt. no
Anyways,
sadness.
what
It
I
was
was gonna
aight.
say
Could've
is
went out better.
I don't think that the Avengers is so untouchable. It's I think it's our nostalgia that makes it that way.
I agree.
Totally.
because
Agreed.
when I look at
But
that
I still love
film,
it.
I do
Oh
too.
yeah.
But
for
when I
sure.
look at that film, I'm like, even story wise, I think it's taken more shortcuts than Iron Man is, and we were kind of parsing it apart tonight and seeing in the third act it takes a lot of shortcuts. But
Yeah, I would disagree with about that statement of Avengers, but we can talk about that when we get to
When
that
we get
episode.
there.
to the
Yes.
Avengers.
so after Avengers, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We'll get into
Ooh.
all that, but Captain America, Black Panther is coming in right there after Captain America for me. Then Thor Ragnarok, and then I've got Iron Man with the rest of them splayed out underneath it.
Hmm.
So Iron Man beats out Ant-Man and Doctor Strange for me.
Wow.
Spider-Man,
sad day.
It's a sad day.
even Guardians of the Galaxy, which I know is I think it's
The
one of your
first
top
one?
ones. Yeah, the first one.
I think that's because you bring a lot of comic book baggage
That's
to that movie.
yeah. Okay, I said this in our
Guardians
in
is
our
amazing.
in our first episode, but I have a hard time separating my comic book biases from
The
my
films.
movie going experiences.
yeah.
Hard to separate them. In your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Man 3 broke me for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
because yeah,
because of Mandarin.
because
Because
Mandarin.
he's like
that
he
just-
is Iron Man's arch nemesis in
He
the
wasn't-
comics.
He wasn't
They
anything in the
completely-
third movie,
yeah.
dude.
If anything, he's a
Oh,
farce.
He's like a TV host.
Yeah.
lazy-
Yeah.
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 Let's
So-
save that for Iron Man 3.
Alright.
right.
man.
Good
yeah.
I
teaser.
cried. Yeah. Any final thoughts? You guys got any great
No.
It
It was
revelations?
a great
or-
movie. Can't
Oh.
wait for Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, dude.
Honestly, can't
next
wait to watch the
week.
movie.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I haven't seen that movie in 6-7 years.
Yep.
Incredible.
Been a
Hulk.
minute.
Okay, so we're all right though. Like it's about in the middle of the road for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll see how it moves going on from here.
Yeah. Number
Yeah,
9.
I would agree.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining us this week on Ultimate Fan Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or send us an email with your thoughts or comments at ultimatefanpodcast@gmail.com. Want to thank Caleb and Aaron for being here with us. You guys are great. Add a lot to our discussion.
They'll be back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
both
we'll
of
be
you
back.
guys.
We'll be back.
Please.
Yeah. So also
Take me
Please
home.
bring
Take
us
me home.
back with
Please.
you.
leave us a comment about Iron Man. Let us know what you're thinking. If you think our MCU ranking is ridiculous, or where you would put it. Maybe watch it yourself. On your way to Avengers: Infinity War.
Vote
And-
for who you think is the best list, which is mine. So
You don't even
The
have a
one who
list.
doesn't
I
have a
I
list.
three
Yeah.
things
For the
on
no
there,
list.
come on.
Yeah, vote
Next
for my
time
no
I'll
list.
come out with one.
Yeah. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Once again, thanks for joining us. I'm Ian Unger.
And I'm Logan Flaming.
See you next time.